Divorce or separation is hard enough, but when kids are involved, the real challenge is figuring out how to share parenting time in a way that keeps life stable and fair. Parents often wonder, what's the best schedule? How do we avoid constant fights? And most importantly, how do we make sure the schedule works for us and our child? Today, I want to walk you through some steps that at least help you create a parenting time schedule that works in real life. I'm Jim Kraayeveld, lead attorney at Kraayeveld Family Law here in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And the number one priority in any parenting time schedule is the child's best interest. That's what courts are going to look at. They're going to want to see stability, fairness, but what works best depends on your child's age, may depend on their schedules, and your ability to actually work with that schedule, and your ability to cooperate. So, I want to show some practical steps and important things to consider based on experience and reliable resources so that you can build a schedule that works long term. Number one, you have to focus on your child's best interest and not just what's convenient for the parents. So, if you're going to have a hearing soon or in the future, you're going to have to be able to show the court why the schedule that you're proposing is best for your child. You may want to take a moment to familiarize yourself with the best interest factors. I've got a series of videos where I deep dive into each one of the best interest factors. Next, understand your state's custody guidelines and legal requirements. In Michigan, for example, every FOC, friend of the court, has their own guidelines, and different counties provide different schedules. And it's those parenting time guidelines that will give you a bit of guidance on what to consider, and it gives you a good starting point to start the conversation. Step 3, you can choose a custody schedule format that fits your family. For example, let's discuss some common schedules and the pros and cons with those. There's a 2-2-3 schedule. Parent A has the child Sunday through Tuesday. Parent B has the child Tuesday evening through Thursday evening. And then child A again has the child Thursday through Sunday evening, at which time the child then goes to parent B. And that schedule then flips on week 2. That would be a 50-50 arrangement with equal parenting time, but it alternates. There's the 2-3-2 schedule. Parent A has the child Sunday evening through Tuesday evening. Parent B has Tuesday evening through Friday evening, and parent A has the child Friday through Sunday evening. And then again, you switch the following week. These schedules are very similar, and they do end up with an equal 50-50 time with both parents. That schedule, though, however, provides frequent interaction with both parents, and that typically works better for younger children. Younger children need to have more frequent visits because their memory is less long than older kids. But that kind of an arrangement doesn't always work well when there's conflict between the parents. And it also doesn't work well if the parents live further away from each other because it requires way more driving time. It can also be confusing to the children. Sometimes younger kids won't know if they're with mom or dad on Monday 2 weeks from now. Often, the week on, week off is a very common schedule. It's easy to remember. It's also less driving, and it's a whole lot less interaction with the other parent if there's conflict. So it provides stability for the parents, it provides stability for the kids, but 1 week can be a long time away from a parent for younger children. For schedules that have a less than 50-50 or different than 50-50 arrangement, there's often things to consider on your every other weekend. For example, you can do longer weekends where you do Friday through Monday morning, gives it 3 overnights. You may do a midweek parenting time that includes an overnight that's consistently on 1 or 2 evenings, nights per week. Next, you really ought to consider the child's age. For babies, especially babies that are nursing, you have to consider, all right, what's their feeding schedule? Can you pump? Is there going to be bottle feeding? Initially, with really young babies, yes, shorter daily visits with a schedule that includes gradual increases every few weeks is a great idea. It may start out with an hour or 2 every day, may increase to 3-4 hours, may then go from 4 hours or 6 hours every other day, and it'll increase. Teenagers, on the other hand, can easily do a week on, week off, or even longer. But consider their school activities. You have to consider their sports, all the related transportation to all of their sports activities. So, another idea that you should use is map out the whole year. Get a digital calendar or a regular calendar and map it out. Put in the school vacations, put in all of the holidays. Don't forget the less common holidays that may be important to you. There might be certain religious holidays, there might be Halloween. You may even want to consider each parent's birthday. Some courts don't care about that, some parties do. The children's birthdays, are you going to split them half and half? Are you going to alternate that day? Put that all into a calendar. School sports schedules, again, as the kids get older. When does the season start? When does it end? When are their practices? When are their games? Ultimately, when you put that all in, share the calendar and start a conversation. You're going to next have to discuss vacations. Are you going to split vacations? Do you alternate them? Do you do a combination? This is true especially like with the Christmas break. That includes multiple holidays. You've got Christmas Eve, you got Christmas Day, you got New Year's Eve, you got New Year's Day. Spring break, for example. Do you attach that to your weekend before or the weekend after? Should spring break be divided in half? Do you alternate it? All different kinds of things that you need to look at. As I was mentioning, if you add the weekend, you'll end up with an extra long week. Some parents just say, you know what, we want to stick to weekend parenting time regardless of the vacation or the break. 7, feasibility. Can you really exercise midweek parenting time? For example, pick Wednesday. And that happens to be the busiest day at work for you, and it's the day that your kids have different sports practices. You have to also then consider transportation. Can you agree to pick up the kids at 5:30 if you don't get out of work until 5 and you often work late, or traffic is busy, or you've got a long way to travel? 8, you need to consider including your teenage children in the discussion. But be careful. You might want to consider your teenagers' input, whether they want to join new clubs, which has its new schedules. But that can be a landmine. If you're in doubt, don't involve them. You can't get into discussions whether or not they want to go to parenting time. They may like their friends and their sports activities more than hanging out with their parents. It also can lend itself to bad-mouthing. You do not want to get involved with bad-mouthing. You do not want to encourage that. You don't want to even allow it. Sometimes teenagers will start butting heads with the other parent. They may have a different parenting style. The kids may want to do their own thing. They're trying to assert their independence. And you can't have, pick sides on that because you want to promote parenting time, as, of course, if the kids are safe. If you're going to have a discussion with teenagers, it'd be best if both parents were present. So, 9, clarify the logistic. Who's picking the kids up? Where are they picking them up? At what time? Be clear with all of that so that there isn't any conflict or any, oops, I didn't know, I forgot. Decide how you're going to communicate about schedule changes and updates. For example, there's an additional practice, there's an additional game, something gets canceled. You need to be able to convey that to the other parent. So build flexibility into your plan while keeping consistency for your children. And consider whether or not this flexibility needs to be in the court order. Again, a practical piece of advice is if you're using shared calendars or co-parenting apps, you can keep everyone on the same page. So, in sum, the best parenting time schedule is the one that puts your children first. It gives both parents clarity, and it provides stability to you and the kids to reduce conflict. If you follow these steps, you'll be creating a structure that not only works for you, but probably helps your child thrive. Until next time.